everyone. So where we are today is the 9/11 Memorial in Lower Manhattan, New York City. So it's actually interesting because this is the weekend of the 21st anniversary. So this is September 9th, 2022. So almost exactly 21 years since the incident happened. So we know about the horror story. I mean, it rocked the world, it rocked America, definitely rocked New York. So, you know, two planes funded by terrorism attacked the two towers that were constructed in the 1970s. And it pretty much created havoc in the whole United States. I mean, we were attacked on our home soil. It was a very devastating thing, and more than 2,000 people lost their lives. So one thing to note when you're visiting the memorial and the museum is this isn't a touristy place. It's a place of reflection. It's actually a graveyard. So this is not meant to be kind of an entertaining video. This is meant to just show you what it is and learn a little bit more about it, and to kind of present what it is when you come to visit here in New York. So let's start now. So here's the map. So we are here. So we're going to be looking at the South Pole, the North Pole, and we're going to go by the Memorial Museum. Okay? One thing to note, if you want to get here, you can take the E to World Trade Center. You could also take the R to Cortlandt Street, and then further down the 1, 2, and 3. And then at Fulton Street, you have the A, C, J, 2, 3, 4, and 5 trains. Okay, so we're going to go in this area, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about it. Now, I recommend when you come here, you know, come here with a solemn attitude. Like I said, it is a graveyard. A lot of people lost their lives. A lot of first responders. A lot of firefighters and police. So, how it's designed is the reflection pools are actually in the footprint of the original buildings. So this is where the Twin Towers sat, basically. This is their actual foundation. So take a look here. See that you are allowed to touch the memorial names panels. So it really kind of commemorates both the first responders and the victims that were working in the buildings on that day. Eerily, the day it happened, everyone knows where they were. I was in 5th grade. I was pretty young. But everybody really remembers where they were that day, what happened, how it went down, how they experienced it. So it really is a day that really changed world and American history forever. A lot of sociologists really think that it is the one single event that really changed the course of history and how we would have developed as a society. One thing to note also is the memorial does not only commemorate solely the victims who lost their lives here in New York at the Twin Towers. It also commemorates the ones who lost their lives at the Pentagon, and also the flight that went down in Pennsylvania where they took a hold of the plane and crashed it, right? So all of those can be found. If you go online, you could actually see where each person's name is based on where they lost their lives, okay? Now there are tours, as you can see here. You can take a tour. There's an amazing museum of the space. I highly recommend you go to it. It's very emotional. They show you images from that day. They show you images of people actually jumping out of the buildings, which is terribly sad. They show images of, you know, first responders rushing into the buildings, rushing up the stairs, newspapers, wreckage from it. It's definitely something to see. The museum is a little pricey. It's $26 for an adult, and then it goes down in price for like youth. It's like 20. Children, it's like 12 or something, and then seniors, it's like 15. Check online, see, and there's also discounts if you are a first responder, NYPD, things of that nature. I definitely do not recommend driving here. There's nowhere to park. If you come on a Sunday, you may be able to get a spot in more, in like by Wall Street area. It's usually quieter on a Sunday, but if it's not Sunday, I definitely would not recommend driving here. Take a cab if you need to. The best way is the train. Lots of trains come here, right? So you can see the gardens here. They really do a really nice job. A nice job of making it a solemn, almost cemetery-like space. You know, you have to remember, sometimes you see people here taking photos, like doing selfies like this. You know, take photos and get your memories of it, but you know, just make sure you respect the fact that this is a cemetery. People lost their lives here, and you know, especially now, this is the weekend of the anniversary. There may be victims' families here, right? And it's something, even though it was 21 years ago now, it's still something that's very fresh, because their loved one that they lost is a victim. You know, it wasn't just some random disease. Okay, so here's the museum here. And this is where you enter the museum. Okay, the crowds could get can build, right? So make sure, I'd recommend doing it on the weekday or the morning. If you do it on the weekend, like on a Saturday in like the middle of the day, you're gonna wait, right? So it's a Friday morning, and there are some lines, right? And like I said, those are the prices that I mentioned earlier. However, there is one free day. So if you come, it's a very short window. If you come on a Monday night, Monday at late afternoon, between 3:30 and 5, it's free entry. The museum takes about, I'd say maybe an hour and a half to go through, but it is one of the most well put together museums I've ever seen. It's very emotional. You see people crying in it, especially people from New York, because it is so personal here. There's a lot of people that these were two of the tallest buildings in the United States, so there was a lot of businesses in them, a lot of companies and offices. So a lot of people lost family members or know of people who lost family members that are local to here. So keep that in mind, right? So this is the museum. I recommend visiting it. I highly recommend visiting it. Like I said, do the Monday thing if you're trying to save money. It may be a little busy because it is free, but they do it on Monday in the afternoon because that's the quietest time, right? So this is the North Pole, right? But like I said, this is the actual footprint of the buildings. Take a look. I'm not. So often a big question is, did they rebuild on top of the Twin Towers? Your answer is no. They made it a memorial, my opinion, I think is the most appropriate thing that they could have done with it, in the actual footprints of where the building stood. Now, there is a newer building that was built in the last decade called One World Trade. So a lot of people mistakenly think that this is on the site of the Twin Towers, but it is just north of the site, right? So take a look, this is it here. Okay, and that's a very, very tall building. It has an observation deck on top. It's modern. It's not like the Empire State Building. It's very modern. It's like floor-to-ceiling windows. You get excellent views of the harbor. You can see different states. Excellent views of Lower Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Midtown as well. Interestingly, when the tower was first constructed, a lot of business, they had a very hard time renting out the spaces to offices and commercial establishments, because a lot of people, you know, it's a touchy subject, right? They don't want to rent there. People even get superstitious, you know, think it's kind of cursed. You know, they don't want to be in proximity to such tragedy and such horror. I'm not sure if it's even fully rented out now. So interesting note. Now, if you plan on coming here on September 11th, you may not be able to get in, because on September 11th every year, they reserve the memorial just for the families of the victims of 9/11, right? So tourists cannot come here on 9/11. I think maybe in the evening, check online, but I think maybe in the evening they can, but the morning and pretty much half the day is reserved for the victims' families, right? And all the victims that are listed here. They do encourage you, you're not allowed to throw anything into there, you know, nothing like that. It's not a fountain, right? No coins, things like that. But they do allow you to, you know, to touch the names, and to also, you see people leaving flowers, because this is a cemetery, basically, right? A lot of the victims' bodies, unfortunately, were not retrievable, right? Which is terrible. So this is their only place where they could, you know, bury their loved ones. Sure, they have memorials and cemeteries and stuff too, but this is a cemetery, so make sure you respect that, you know. Take a look again. Now, if you are in New York around September 11th, so about now, right, you will see that they will put up 2 very large beam lights into the sky. You can see from all over the city. I mean, as far as South Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, the Bronx, they put, and it's to, and this is at night, and it's to commemorate the tragedy that had happened on that day. So let's take a look at the map again. So we started here, we went up, we saw the South Pole, right? We went up through here, we went through the memorial, right? We saw the museum, we saw the North Pole. cool. And now we're here. And we saw One World Trade as well, and we learned a little about that. That's called the Oculus. We're gonna do a video about that in a later video. It's an amazing feat of architecture. So there you have it, guys. It is something to see. It represents a huge turning point in American and world history. It's a solemn place. I highly encourage you to go to the museum on your tour here in New York. It doesn't take long. I mean, the memorial could take you, I mean, it's 20 minutes, half hour, unless you really, you know, like you know someone you want to pray, something like that. For example, this is a person's family, right? So there you have it, guys. Come to the museum, come to the memorial. Like I said, it's not a long thing. You could do it in maybe 2-3 hours, the memorial and the museum. If you like this content, this kind of content, make sure you subscribe. I do tours all over the world, a lot here in New York. I teach you a little bit about the history, the development, things that I should do a lot of things on different neighborhoods. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Like, share this video. Leave a question below. I answer almost all questions I receive. Or leave a comment if you have any tips or tricks about navigating the 9/11 memorial, guys. And then until next time, take care.